Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of our SASAH Alumni series. In this SASAH Alumni interview series, we reach out to our alumni and gain their perspectives on what it's like being a SASAH student and also their experience inside of the program, but also, more importantly, how those experiences and teachings and learnings and lessons have impacted their experiences outside of the program and after graduation. And today, I'm joined with the amazing Betty Wang. Hi, Betty. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm amazing. I'm very excited to speak with you today because you did SASA and English and Ivy, and now you're a management consultant at Deloitte, which I think is a very interesting pathway because I feel like a lot of SASA students often feel like they have to stick to the arts. And I feel whereas SASA gives us like a very amazing arts kind of education, that there's still room for doing something outside of that and making it work.
Yeah.
So,
Totally.
your amazing experience. I'm really glad to get started. Okay, so the first question that I have for you, which is what I ask everyone because everyone wants to know. We're all confused at some point. We all have to ask ourselves this question. In your own words, what is SASA exactly?
Okay. So definitely, I feel like an age-long question for every SASA student because it means very, very different things to each and one of us. Um,
Mhm.
for me, not to be cheesy, but it was definitely a playground for me in the sense that I got the opportunity first to explore my multiple interests that span different faculties. And I didn't feel like investing in particularly one and going through a whole learning module and getting credits and being fully embedded. But I wanted the opportunity to kind of just like tap in and go. And so I think SASA was that playground for me because I was able to tap into so many different departments, courses, disciplines, and it was very, very exciting. And I think the second thing I would say was it was a chance to engage in really awesome interdisciplinary discussions. When you're in a specific faculty or when you're just in a large faculty, you're not going to have like really interesting or really in-depth dialogue with everyone. And the opportunity for genuine discussion around certain topics, whether you're learning or just getting into more personal experiences and reflection, is really rare. So um, given that rare opportunity, I felt like SASA really provided a lot of that in the seminar style discussions. And that was really valuable for me for that interdisciplinary learning because everyone brought something outside of SASA to talk about and relate to, which was really nice.
Yeah, agreed. I love that. That SAS is like a playground. I love that like metaphor. And kind of bouncing off of that idea and SASA being like a playground and allowing you that kind of opportunity to like dip your toes into different like learning styles and programs in general. I was wondering, is that what drew you to SASA? And also tell me a little bit about what those years prior to IB was like. What made you like, what was it like being in SASA, but also knowing that you'd eventually be pursuing business? And yeah, what like drew you to the program, especially considering your business passion?
Yeah, for sure. So well, I didn't know about SASA actually in grade 12. I was in first year and I came in as a like a film student in MIT. So that's focused on media studies. And for me, while the program was interesting, I knew I cared more about like the traditional humanities subjects and wanted to explore that. So I was in comparative literature, fell in love with the course, and then also fell in love with Professor Lawrence Deleuze at the time, who was a fascinating character, I would say, especially for a first year. Um, and he approached me and talked a little bit more about SASA, and he talked about the flexibility. He talked about, there are like definitely courses, fundamental, rudimentary courses that you have to take, but also we're very flexible, and it's a cohort of 20 to like 25 people at the time. And so that's what made me really interested because I knew my interest was shifting like every 3 months, right? And I wanted a program that could grow with me and support me at the same time. And
Mm.
I just felt really open when I talked to the director at the time of SASA, as well as Professor Deleuze, on things I was interested about. And they were happy to support me, no matter if it's related to directly their discipline. They always knew someone that I could talk to. And so given that over overwhelming, I guess, welcome and also the flexibility. That's what made me want to join SASAH, because I knew that this was somewhere where I can commit to staying, but also have a lot of adaptability in terms of where I want to explore as my interests kind of grew. And to the second part of your question, what was my first 2 years like? Again, I joined in the second year in SASAH, and that was the year when we took a lot of, I think, seminar courses. And I genuinely enjoyed, especially more philosophical discussions that I wasn't getting outside of my large classes within MIT and within I think English. Sometimes like the courses could even be a little bit larger and you can't facilitate those personal reflective discussions. I also think I was ramping up actually to the Walrus Foundation internship, which is part of SASAH's professional kind of placement, career placement program. And that was a great experience because in that summer, I got to experience half of more of a traditional business student internship, but then I went to the Walrus and did an internship there that gave me more like the nonprofit management arts experience, which is great.
I love that. I love that because I kind of had somewhat of a similar experience. And I love how you phrased it that like SASAH grows with you. I think that is so accurate because I think a lot of us, when we come into first year, this can speak on my behalf. Coming into first year, you kind of know what you want to do, but you kind of don't. And there's a lot of like nerves with that. And I think SASAH taps into like, instead of one specific discipline, it taps into a genre of disciplines and interests. So that in and of itself automatically gives you like so much space to really explore. And also the amazing people at SASAH, Jen, Lawrence, I could go on, but they, I think, cater to everyone's needs in a unique and amazing way that allows each and every SASAH student to not only go for their interest, but relate it back to the program. And so I love that. And I can definitely relate because I also didn't know about SASAH until later on. But I still was able to join in my first year, but it was like very late. Like I think I missed like the first 2 classes, but nonetheless, I love that. Okay, so you talked a little bit about working at the Walrus and also like your more business internship. So speaking on those 2 like experiences, I was wondering how you think SASAH has like prepared you for your career at Deloitte, and what are the like skills that you think are like really transferable to what you're doing right now?
So it's interesting because I think like when you say a dentist, you know exactly what they do, but when you say like management consultant, it's a very vague term, and I feel like everyone again has their own definition similar to SASAH. But I would say like if there's anything you need to know about my job, it's very multidisciplinary. And that means like every project you have every 3 or 4 months, you're learning a new subject, right? And I think that's pretty on brand with my experience in SASAH, which it feels like every semester I'm learning a new thing. And then these things that I'm learning are also very interdisciplinary, whether it's the discussions I was talking about, or like, for example, the philosophy of food course that I took, right? Which is like, there was a lot of activism pieces, there was filmmaking as part of it, there was philosophy, but also just food ethics in general and food quality, food supply chain, and it dives into the business side. So like all of these random things tied together actually makes a really interesting whole picture of how you understand a subject. So when so right now I'm pursuing a fellowship at the World Economic Forum as part of Deloitte. And my job is to think about what the future of health equity looks like globally, right? And health equity is such a broad topic. It's housing, it's education, it's income levels, it's financial inclusion, anything like that. And so when you're bringing all these pieces together, it reminded me of at times when you were working on a SASAH project, and it spanned everything from community building to, again, like food ethics and things like that. And being able to piece together those information was really helpful for me. And because I took all these courses that seemed random at the time because it was just my interest, it actually contributed to a lot of conversations around, you know, anti-oppression, anti-racism, equitable access, things like that, that you would have never imagined would have carried through outside of your university career.
Wow, I love that. Very applicable for sure. But also, okay, so kind of shifting gears a little bit into the
Yeah.
more fun side of SASA. I know for me, a large part of what I like about SASA is the community and like all of us as students being able to have a very not tight knit like group. And that's one of my favorite things about SASA. But as a
Mhm.
graduate, I was wondering, what was your favorite memory as a SASA student?
Okay. It's really hard to pick one memory, but I'm gonna pick like a theme that I
Okay, yeah,
really
go for it.
enjoyed. Um, and for me, like I think I'm always I never feel like a true art student in a sense that I feel like I'm an aspirational artist. Like I'm not creating a lot of times, and I feel so inspired by like the people who produce beautiful poetry, spoken word, art pieces around me, and um, during second year and also like continued throughout my SASA career was learning about artistic processes. And we would do gallery walks, we would work with artists and learn about, you know, their creative process. We did a exhibition, like we put together different art pieces and we did an exhibition in second year as well in terms of what we can create. And I think learning through all of these type of artists really inspired me, and it gave me a new appreciation of the arts, and it was very valuable because that was not something that I could get from other classes, and that was my favorite memory, doing all of these like little field trips throughout the year.
Oh, I love that. But also, I wouldn't say that you're not an artist. I don't feel like you constantly have to be creating to be considered an artist. I feel like,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I feel like the way that you create and consume art is valid, no matter what that looks like. So don't completely cross that out of your list of like personality traits or talents just yet. Because yeah, also I think being in SASA immediately makes you an artist because the amount of art engagement that we have to do
yeah,
definitely taps into something really special in everyone. So yeah.
that's
But yeah,
fair. That's fair.
okay. And the final question that I have for you is a very probably retrospective one for you, I guess. It is, what advice do you think you have for any future or even current SASA students that are watching this right now, especially those who might have an interest in pursuing a path just like you, so in the arts and in business?
Yeah. I think my advice is SASA is like you get what you commit, right? In the sense that
So true.
it's when I say a program grows with you, it means that if you have a goal, this program and everyone within it will support you 100%, and
Yeah.
you'll have the networks and even shifting your credits to kind of fit your interest and what you want to do, right? So you can like get the right credits from an administrative standpoint, but also have the support network and the connections to do that. But
Mhm.
you still need to go through a very self-reflective process for you to get the most out of the program. And it's very easy to go through the program and say, oh, I learned so much, but also like, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. And one thing to kind of minimize that feeling is really reflect and constantly question, honestly, at least every year, you know, how have my interests developed? Like where are my interests right now taking me? And who are the people in the program or outside where also what are the courses that I want to take, and work with SASA to make that happen. And there were so many points when my interest was very much focused on like international development and policy that I've expressed that, not from like first year, but like in third year, I'm like, this is what I want to do now. And the program was fully behind me. It was just I had to go through that thinking, and I had to, you know, make the move to say, this is what I want to do.
Mm, I love that. Could not have said it any better. I agree. I think SASA is definitely not a traditional course. I don't think you can come to SASA and sit in a lecture and then get the most out of it. I definitely do think that, yeah, you grow with the
Yeah.
program and you find the people in the program that will click with what you're doing, and they will support you 100%. And even those that might not will still support you 100%. So agreed, 100%. Amazing advice. Okay, and I think that wraps up our interview. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. I know you're super busy, but nevertheless, thank you so much. And if any SASA student wants to reach out to you, I'm sure they can like contact Jen, and Jen will put you in contact with you, and then there'll be a whole email chain, but I'm sure we'll get that figured out. So yeah, thank you again. And yeah, I guess this is us signing off.
Okay. All right.
Alrighty. Bye.
Bye.